Okay, so my name is Jordan Johnson. I am in your counseling course online, Counseling 890. So in regards to my proposed topic, delayed grief is something that I feel like isn't really talked about too much in any community, let alone the black community. But I definitely feel like now that I am the age that I am and I have two kids, and just seeing how much harder it is to deal with the things that come with life, such as getting sick, even if it was something as small as a cold. Just seeing how hard it is to continue the day to day necessities for myself, my children, my household, my job, for everything, um, and still keep everything afloat. So, whenever there are very extreme situations that occur, such as death, we as a community of people, we don't really have that opportunity to really process things because more than likely, a majority of the time, we have something called delayed reaction to a situation like that occurring. So, a lot of times we kind of space out if something like that has occurred because it's not our reality at that moment. So, when it comes down to people losing loved ones, whether that be a companion, whether that be a spouse, a lot of times we don't get the proper amount of time. And honestly, it does not necessarily have to be a physical death, because even when it comes down to losing a job, you can grieve that, especially if it was a job that you loved, especially if it was a job that you were at for a long time. Um, the same thing can be with, you know, a marriage ending. It could be so many different things to grieve about. But in this specific proposal, my main focus is going to be on delayed grieving of someone who is no longer with us. Mainly because with COVID going on, that is something that is affecting a lot of people, as well as a lot of people that I personally know. But just in general, having a few friends, a few close friends, a few associates who all have loved ones who have passed away. I know for a fact at one of the jobs that I was at for a couple of years, an employee had been there for, at that time, probably 11 years at that time. And he had never asked for a day off. We had weekends off. So he had never asked for a day off in 7 years. And his grandfather passed away. His grandfather raised him, and his grandfather lived in Africa. So, whenever for the African culture, whenever someone passes away, the entire burial ceremony usually lasts for about a month or two, just with all of the traditions that they have. And of course, it takes some time to get there, and it's just a lot that's going on at that time period. So, this model employee tells his job that he will be needing a month off to grieve his grandfather that raised him in Africa, and his job was not okay with that at all. They gave him a very hard time about that. They also gave him a very hard time about receiving paid time off for that situation. Um, it was just a lot that went into the equation that originally made me look at things a little bit more closer. So, needless to say, when you have a situation like a loved one passing away. And honestly, a loved one passing away that raised you and was heavily, involved in your life, even a month to grieve them is honestly not a long enough time. Even though there is no time frame on when to be over something, there's no time frame on when to not grieve. There's no time frame on anything, but for a fact, you know, it would be nice if a person would have the chance to decide how long they need to grieve instead of, just having the responsibilities that we would have had that situation not occurred. So that was originally one of the situations that, led me to be interested in making this my proposed topic. I also know that with one of my close friends, Dondre, which you will hear him in the video of the sessions as well, he had 3 deaths back to back, and he didn't have enough time to really process things because he still had obligations. He still had, you still have bills, you still have things to pay for. You still have to make arrangements. You still need to, bathe, cook, clean, the day-to-day things. And so it just, it really is a topic that is very dear to me because overall, everyone will have to have some type of challenging situation at some point or another in their life, regardless of if it is specifically grieving a loved one. It could be something else, but everyone is going to have a situation where it's going to be unfavorable, and you're still going to have to do everything else as if nothing is going on. And so I really, really feel like this topic itself is very near and dear to me. I honestly could not think of any other topic that means as much to me as this. Originally, I wanted my group to be 10 people. But considering the fact that COVID, has worsened since then, it is a little bit harder to get those same 10 people to do the groups, just because personally, I know for a fact one of the women who had agreed to be in the group, I know for a fact 3 people in her family that lived in her same household died from COVID, as well as the other people that were involved in the group. They had loved ones dying. They had, so much come out of nowhere unexpectedly due to the COVID situation. So that number, went down from what I wanted to be 10 to 2. But it's okay because there was still variety in the 2 people. I had, first, in general, neither one of the candidates have children. So the one is a male and one is a female. And, both of them experienced their grieving situations at different ages, but still a very long time ago, considering that we're in 2020. Both are very established in their careers. I know for a fact Chelsea is a established teacher. She's been a teacher for a very long time. As soon as she finished undergrad, she went into teaching, actually. And that was a very long time ago. And then in regards to Dondre is actually an engineer who, in a quest to deal with his grieving and get away from that grieving environment itself, quit his engineering job and went pursue a career on television. So, and that was just for a couple of months. So now he is back to reality, and he is back, doing his engineering jobs. But, for a couple of months, he'll be in Houston, and then for another couple of months he'll be in Oklahoma, and it's not anything per se wrong with the jobs. It's just more of him leaving Houston whenever he feels anything related to a grieving situation coming back up. So so both of my candidates are in their 30s, no children, both have careers, and their main thing that they expressed to me was that they just did not have enough time to grieve because they had to be that adult to adults, and they had to be that strong person for their family. And so it's just really unfortunate because both of them were children or younger, when situations of grieving occurred. So my goal for exploring delayed grieving is to shed light and awareness that there is a lot of generational turmoil in basically putting too much on children, putting too much on younger adults, to be that person. And it could be on accident, I don't think anyone would intentionally put a lot on anyone's shoulders. But considering the fact that children do remember a lot, and children don't really have enough time to process things either, because considering the fact that, okay, yes, we have work and we have children, they have school, they have after school, they have sports and stuff, they have they have things as well going on. So it's just very, very unfavorable situations repeatedly happening, and no one receiving any type of counseling guidance. I know Chelsea, she receives therapy, and I know for a fact that Dondre has never received therapy. No one in his family has received therapy, and he's not against it. He just didn't know the ways of getting a counselor. So I have, of course, provided him with that information in order to help him in his quest to grieving. Both clients do consider grieving to be being sad, so I know that throughout my sessions I had to kind of repeatedly remind both of them that, grieving is not just one emotion. Grieving is an ongoing cycle of emotions. So you could be okay today, and then, a month from now or a year from now, not be okay. And that's okay to not be okay. And it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly normal to go through the motions or go through different stages in your grieving path daily. There's no blueprint or blueprint on how to exactly grieve. It's not just being sad. You can be happy while you're grieving. You can express yourself more when you're grieving. You can pick up, a trade maybe. Learn how to paint. Learn how to, do something to just kind of like utilize that energy into something else, or plant a garden. It's not always about just being sad and crying, alone in the dark or in the shower. But although that does not hurt grieving as well, sometimes you do need to get that out as well. So there's no right or wrong in anything to do with either one of their thinking on how grieving is supposed to be, but it is more than just what they assume it to be. But considering the fact that in over a decade, neither one of them has even had a moment to cry about these people very close to them passing away, and they want to cry, but they feel bad because it's been so long. So they feel kind of silly for still being sad. So it's just so much that goes into why I feel like this topic is very important to me. um I just hope and pray that I'm expressing myself well enough so that you can understand why this is very important to me. I know for a fact when my mother's parents passed away, she was very young. She was 19 when her mother passed away, and she was 26 when her father passed away. So, you know, um, she didn't have enough time to get herself together, as an adult, let alone to grieve. So I think that's also another reason why it's very important that we start shedding light on delayed grieving, because it also affects how you respond to certain situations. It also affects how you see yourself. It also affects how you raise your children. There's so many different aspects that goes into it. So I definitely want to get my point across in why this proposed research topic is the best fit for me. I know for a fact, God forbid something was to happen to someone that I'm close to now at this point in time, it would be very, very hard on me at any point in life, but especially now, it would be very, very hard on me. I have two small children. So just to think about, having to emotionally try and resonate with what's going on, and also feed children, small children, clothe small children, get small children to school, or help small children with their homework, or cook. A lot of times when we are grieving, we don't want to eat, so it's like you can't just not eat, because it's not just you, it's someone else as well. So there's just so many different reasons and aspects and situations, scenarios, everything that I put into perspective that has contributed to me feeling how I feel about this topic. And I really, really hope that you approve this topic, because it's very important to me.